Hello, I'm Stefan Michno, one of the project managers at the Hotel at Viking Lakes project here in Eagan, Minnesota. We're very excited to be selected by the ownership group to be the general contractor for their new hotel. Let me run through a brief project overview. As part of the overall master plan for the 200-acre development known as Viking Lakes, this hotel will contain 320 keys within a 13-story structure. The first floor will include ballrooms, meeting rooms, event spaces, as well as a restaurant. The second floor is designed to include a spa, a fitness center, hotel administrative offices, and a bar with a rooftop terrace overlooking the Vikings practice facility to the west. For the next few minutes, we'd like to review the Hotel at Viking Lakes project and our expectations and standards regarding the job site, traffic, safety, and cleanliness. We look forward to another successful project with you. It is the policy of Kraus-Anderson Construction Company to provide a safe and healthy work environment for all employees and to abide by federal, state, and local regulations as they pertain to our operations. To make our approach to safety effective and uniform throughout the organization, Kraus-Anderson Construction Company has adopted the following Hotel at Viking Lakes site-specific safety plan, which we will actively pursue on this site. The objective of the Hotel at Viking Lakes site-specific safety plan is to reduce the frequency and severity of accidents and injuries, and is in addition to the Kraus-Anderson Construction Company Safety and Health Program. To be successful, such a program must embody the proper attitudes towards accident prevention on the part of management, supervisors, and employees. It also requires cooperation in all safety and health matters, not only between supervisors and employees, but also between each employee and his or her fellow workers. Only through such a cooperative effort can a safety record in the best interest of all be established and maintained. As employees, you are responsible for wholehearted, genuine cooperation with all aspects of the Hotel at Viking Lakes site-specific safety plan, including compliance with all rules and regulations, and for continuously practicing safety while performing your duties on this site. Accidents cost time and money, but most of all, accidents often cause lives. The safety department, project managers, and superintendents and foremen have the full support of management in enforcing the provisions of this policy related to responsibilities assigned to them. We hope that you will share our concern for providing a safe place in which to work, because to make this Hotel at Viking Lakes site-specific safety plan effective, all of us must work together. Help yourself and your coworkers be aware of and practice safe work habits. This job site orientation video will be required to be viewed by all on-site employees prior to gaining access to the site. After viewing the video and completing the job site orientation checklist, the employees will receive a hard hat decal indicating successful completion of the orientation. Here to talk about job site safety is Safety Coordinator Taylor Klitsky.
Hello, I'm Taylor Klitsky, Safety Coordinator for Kraus-Anderson. It is not only our goal, but everyone's responsibility to make sure at the end of each day, everyone goes home safely. With that goal in mind, we will now review the site-specific safety plan. In order for employees to work safely and comply with the Hotel at Viking Lakes site-specific safety plan, they need to know what is expected of them. Since it is impossible to maintain close contact with every individual on the job, the use of safety meetings becomes one of the most practical ways and efficient methods of maintaining safety awareness. These meetings will be used to communicate safety information, including related training topics, updates, and incident investigation findings. Toolbox meetings will be held by each job site superintendent or foreman on a weekly basis. The proceedings of this meeting, along with the names of the employees in attendance, will be recorded and forwarded to Kraus-Anderson Construction Company's job site superintendent and safety coordinator to be filed accordingly. This site will also utilize a daily huddle meeting, which will have a strong focus on safety in regard to the day's activities. The goal is to provide everyone with an opportunity to increase the knowledge of the work activities, hazards and mitigations, and proactively discuss any concerns. An example of this would be an upcoming crane hoist with discussion on the lift zone, barricaded or restricted areas, and areas in general to be avoided until the lift is complete. This site will utilize a daily stretch and flex program. Because sprains, strains, and soft tissue injuries are very common in construction, all personnel on site will be asked to participate in a daily stretch and flex at the beginning of each shift. It is the responsibility of each company to make sure their personnel participate in this activity. Stretching helps prepare your body for work activities, improves range of motion, circulation, and helps reduce the risk of soft tissue injuries. When stretching, always do so to your own ability. Establishing and reviewing proper procedures prior to beginning of work is one of the benefits of a job safety analysis. The goal is to evaluate and record the main steps of a job, identify existing or potential risks, and determine the best way to reduce or eliminate them. All subcontractors will be required to perform a job safety analysis daily and turn them in to Kraus-Anderson to be filed accordingly. Throughout this project, there will be circumstances exposing workers to potential for dropped objects. In an effort to significantly reduce hazards and potential for serious injury associated with dropped objects, this site must establish guidelines to protect workers from exposure. Subcontractors may submit their own plans and will be expected to follow Kraus-Anderson's falling object prevention plan at a minimum. Each plan should address mitigations, employee training, securing tools at heights, and correction procedures. The Employee Right to Know program requires employers to evaluate their workplaces for existence of hazardous substances, harmful physical agents, infectious agents, and provide training and information to those employees who are routinely exposed to substances and agents. Regarding hazard communication, the following items must be in place: hazardous substance and agents inventory, container labels, safety data sheets or SDS forms, employee training, personal protective equipment requirements, and other contractors and employers must be informed. While performing certain tasks, employees may be exposed to respirable crystalline silica. Activities such as chipping, hammer drilling, grinding, sweeping, etc. may be hazardous. Even materials containing small amounts of silica can be hazardous if they are used in a way that produces high dust concentrations. Employees who perform work or may be potentially exposed to silica shall take measures to reduce exposure in the workplace. Employers shall develop a silica exposure control plan with task-specific details and submit them to Kraus-Anderson. Engineering controls on tools such as vacuum-provided attachments or water delivery methods shall be utilized. Dust must be contained in designated work areas as applicable. Dust control systems shall be maintained routinely. To prevent harmful exposure to workers, a respiratory protection plan must be in place. The primary objective is control of diseases and illnesses caused by breathing air contaminated with gas, aerosols, or dust. In many applications, this is accomplished by using engineering controls, which will eliminate the need for respiratory protection. When effective engineering controls are not feasible, or even at times when they are, appropriate respirators may be required. It is the responsibility of the subcontractor to verify workers are medically able to wear respirators, then properly train and fit test the individuals who may use them for work activities. All near misses will be reported to the KA superintendent and safety coordinator. A near miss is an unplanned event that could have caused injury, incident, or property damage, but did not. It is also important that accidents are reported immediately, so prompt care can be provided in the event of an injury or property damage may be minimized. Near misses and accidents will be investigated and documented with the goal of preventing reoccurrence. The KA superintendent will lead the investigation from completing the initial near miss or accident report to verifying completion of all corrective actions. The investigation will determine causes, corrective actions, and will be sent to the Kraus-Anderson Safety Department. In the event of a work-related accident, our first priority is the care for those injured. Kraus-Anderson Construction Company and our subcontractors will make sure that the injured personnel are cared for and receive the appropriate medical attention. In the event of an accident or injury, the following steps must be followed. All accidents and injuries must be reported to your superintendent or foreman immediately. Upon notice of an injury or accident, the foreman or other responsible person shall determine the severity of the injury. If the injury is severe or life-threatening, call 911 immediately. If qualified, someone may volunteer to administer first aid or treatment. An automatic external defibrillator, or AED, is available for use on site if a victim is unconscious and not breathing. In the event emergency response personnel need to come on site, they will be met at an entry gate and informed of the injured worker's location. If the injury is not life-threatening but requires medical attention, the injured employee shall go to the nearest designated medical provider. At the time of the injury, the employee may not need medical treatment. If at a later time or date the employee decides a medical opinion is necessary, the employee is to advise their superintendent or foreman prior to seeking medical attention. Regardless of seriousness, the company safety representative should be contacted to provide assistance. Safety is an integral part of the operations of Kraus-Anderson Construction Company. Each employee shall observe all safety rules and regulations established for the hotel at Viking's Lake job site. Employees' safety responsibilities are as follows. Observe and comply with the hotel at Viking's Lake's site-specific safety plan, along with applicable federal, state, and local regulations. Work safely in such a manner to ensure your own safety and that of your coworkers and others. Request assistance when unsure about how to perform a task safely. Correct any unsafe acts or conditions observed. Report any uncorrected, unsafe acts or conditions to your superintendent or foreman. Use and maintain all safety devices provided. Report all accidents to your superintendent or foreman immediately, regardless of the seriousness. Actively participate in safety activities such as weekly toolbox talks and other safety meetings and trainings. Report items for improving our job site safety. Your health and welfare is of the utmost importance to Kraus-Anderson. It is the responsibility of the on-site safety representative, project managers, superintendents, and foremen to actively enforce the hotel at Vikings Lake's site-specific safety plan. Violations of safety rules are considered unsatisfactory job performance and will be treated accordingly. Any employee who violates the policies and procedures outlined in the site-specific safety plan and is provided in the applicable labor agreement will be subject to the following disciplinary action with respect to violations. First offense is a verbal warning and instructions on proper procedure that must be followed to avoid another violation. If the violation poses substantial risk of serious injury to the employee or others, a verbal warning may also be documented. Second offense, written warning to the employee, instructions on proper procedure that must be followed to avoid another violation, and notification to the company's on-site supervisor and company safety director. Third offense, disciplinary action that could include discharge for cause provided in the applicable labor agreement. Based on the severity of the violation, the verbal and/or written warning may be bypassed and the company may take disciplinary action without further notice or delay, including discharge of the employee. When engineering and administrative safety controls are not enough, personal protective equipment, or PPE, shall be used as a last line of defense. Practical PPE must be selected and used to provide additional protection from accidental injuries on job-specific tasks. Employees are expected to be responsible for proper use and care of protective equipment. Appropriate hand protection is required when welding, grinding, detailing, and working with hazardous substances where a SDS dictates their use. Face shields shall be worn for protection from flying objects and particles produced from grinding, chipping, cutting, and welding. Respiratory protective equipment will be used by designated employees when engineering or administrative controls are not effective in controlling hazardous conditions. Hearing protection will be provided by your employer and worn on all areas of the job site where the noise levels exceed OSHA's permissible exposure limits. This includes heavy equipment and jackhammering. Now you will hear from Dennis Fila, who is one of the job site superintendents.
Hello, my name is Dennis Fila with Kraus-Anderson. I am one of the superintendents at the hotel at Viking Lakes project. Basic personal protective equipment, PPE, requirements include hard hat, safety glasses, proper footwear, sleeved shirts, long pants, and Class 2 high visibility vests or upper garment. Housekeeping will be required by all workers as the day progresses. Break areas need to be clean and sanitary at all times. Trash cans with lids are required. Proper guards must be intact and in adequate condition at all times. All electrical, rigging, and fall protection equipment must be inspected prior to each use. All damaged tools and equipment must be tagged out of service and removed from the site immediately. All cylindrical materials such as conduit, pipe, and threaded rod must be racked or stacked and chalked away from primary walkways. Exposed nails must be immediately removed or bent over to avoid accidental contact. Once the building is enclosed, smoking and the use of any e-smoke device will not be allowed. Electrical safety. All electrical cords and equipment shall be inspected daily and must be immediately removed from service if found defective. GFCIs are required at all times. Only authorized electricians are allowed to perform work on primary electrical systems. Appropriate lockout, tagout procedures must be in place at all times and must comply with all OSHA and NFPA 70E regulations when applicable. Fall protection. 100% tie-off is required when exposed to fall potentials 6 feet or greater and in accordance with OSHA regulations. For certain scopes of work such as steel erection, overhead bricklaying, certain roofing activities, working from ladders or scaffolding, other OSHA regulations apply and must be followed. It is the subcontractor's responsibility to consult the appropriate representative if questions arise. Guardrails must be constructed and maintained per OSHA requirements. All holes, openings 2 inches or greater must be covered and capable of withstanding 2 times the maximum intended load and marked accordingly as hole or cover. All fall protection equipment must be inspected daily and utilized in accordance with OSHA requirements. For non-roofing trades, warning lines must be set back a minimum of 15 feet from the edge. Also, for all work conducted between the warning lines and roof edge, workers shall be provided with and utilize personal fall arrest equipment. Ladders must be inspected daily, erected, and utilized properly, meeting all OSHA requirements. Scaffold must be erected by a competent person and meet all applicable OSHA regulations. Fire protection. All individuals must be trained in proper use and inspection of firefighting equipment. Flammable liquids must be stored in approved containers outside of the building. Fire extinguishers must be immediately available for all hot work. All primary walkways, stairways, and means of egress must be free of obstructions. Crane and hoisting safety. All crane operators, signalers, riggers must submit current training certifications to Kraus-Anderson. Detailed PIC plans must be submitted to Kraus-Anderson prior to each applicable scope of work. Do not exceed the capacity of the crane or hoisting equipment. Regularly inspect all rigging and hoisting equipment. Barricade all areas below all control zones as needed. Stay clear and never work below suspended loads. Acknowledgement. By signing this checklist, you are acknowledging that you have participated in the job site employee orientation and were instructed in the recognition and avoidance of unsafe conditions and work practices. You also acknowledge that violating any policy set forth in this orientation or failing to follow safe work practices may result in immediate discharge. The Safety Department, project managers, superintendent, and foreman have the full support of the management in enforcing the provisions of this policy related to the responsibilities assigned to them. So in closing, we hope you will share our concern for providing a safe place to work. To do so, all of us must work together. Help yourself and your coworkers to be aware of and practice safe work habits. Thank you for your attention and welcome to the Hotel at Viking Lakes project.